Welcome to Maggie's Picks, where I recommend things that you can watch, read, and listen to for free. So today I'm recommending 5 films you can watch for free on the Kanopy app. So right now, library card holders in Westchester County can log into Kanopy and watch 20 films a month at no charge. I think in the past it used to be 10, but because of COVID-19 and everyone being home, they upped the limit to 20. So of the 5 movies on this list, 4 of them are rated R and 1 of them is rated PG-13. If you're only interested in the PG-13 documentary, please skip ahead to the following time code. I'm going to put it up on the screen in front of me. And here's my list of films from least emotionally intense to most emotionally intense. Maybe it's up for debate, but I'm gonna start off light with some comedy, and then throughout the list we're gonna get heavier and heavier. So the first film is What We Do in the Shadows. Then following that is Lady Bird, I Am Not Your Negro, Moonlight, and then Melancholia. So those are my 5 picks, and we're gonna go through them now. So the first film, What We Do in the Shadows, this is a 2014 film. It's rated R. It is 1 hour and 26 minutes long. It falls under the comedy horror genre. It's directed by and starring Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. So in terms of the genre, I did say it was comedy horror. It's a lot lighter on the horror, a lot heavier on the comedy. So I am not a big horror person. I don't really like scary movies, but it's not really scary. It's just hilarious. And I've seen this movie twice. Every time I watch it, I'm rolling on the floor in laughter because it's so good. So Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi, maybe if you're just, I don't know, your average American, you might be like, who are these people? I've never heard of them before. So if you don't know them, they are 2 very funny New Zealand-based comedians. You probably are familiar with the films Moana or maybe Thor Ragnarok. They were both involved. I think Taika Waititi was the director of Thor Ragnarok, and Jermaine Clement, he was like the big snail monster in Moana. He voiced that guy. Yeah, so if you have seen Moana, or if you've seen Thor Ragnarok, or you've heard of those films, you're familiar with some of their work. Jermaine Clement, he had a TV show called Flight of the Conchords. I think it was like kind of a cult hit back in the late 2000s, and he has some pretty funny stuff in that show too. So I highly recommend this movie, especially if you like the humor in Thor Ragnarok. There's just something about New Zealand humor, something about Kiwi humor that's just so wonderful. And what else? This movie, the reason why I wanted to put it first on the list is because it's very, and I mean this in the best way, it is very, very dumb. It is like so stupid, but entertaining. Like, this is just silly, lighthearted fun. If you don't want to think about anything dark or serious right now, which is totally understandable, this is the movie for you. Because it's just a silly vampire flick. So here's the little synopsis. So Viago, Deacon, and Vladislav are vampires who are finding that modern life has them struggling with the mundane, like paying rent, keeping up with the chore wheel, trying to get into nightclubs, and overcoming roommate conflicts. So if you've ever watched Being Human, which was originally a BBC British kind of drama TV series about a vampire, a ghost, and a werewolf living all together in one apartment. It's kind of like that, but even sillier. Like, Being Human was fun at times, but it was mainly like kind of, it wasn't like comedic in tone, it wasn't lighthearted. This is just pure fun and chaos. It's just 3 vampires who just don't know what to do with themselves. They don't understand how to live in modern day life. It's funny. I highly recommend it. And it received a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I fully subscribe and endorse Rotten Tomatoes, which is why I'm including the ratings in my video. Alright, the next one we're going to talk about. Still funny, still a comedy, probably not as funny as the one I just mentioned, but it's Lady Bird. This came out in 2017. It's rated R. It's 1 hour and 34 minutes long. It's a comedy drama. It's directed by Greta Gerwig. It's starring Saoirse Ronan, Laurie Metcalf, Tracy Letts, and Timothée Chalamet. Timothée Chalamet only shows up for a couple minutes, but just thought I'd throw his name in there in case you were like, oh, do I know anyone in this film? And you probably know Timothée Chalamet. So this movie is set in 2002. It's about an artistically inclined 17-year-old girl who comes of age in Sacramento, California. So I really like this movie. I believe the production company was A24, and they usually turn out some pretty good films. It's, how do I describe it? Well, yeah, I said before, it's a coming-of-age film. Also, I just feel like it's very realistic. I think anyone who's had a complicated relationship with people in their family can watch it and really appreciate it. Very good film. I got to see it in theaters way back when it came out. Obviously, theaters are not open right now, but you know what? You can watch it for free at home on Kanopy, and it's great. So this one's a fun one. It has 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. And we're going to move on to the next film. So this one, unlike the other two, this is a documentary. So this one is the only film on the list that is rated PG-13. This one came out in 2016. It is 1 hour and 33 minutes long. The documentary is directed by Raoul Peck, and it is narrated by Samuel L. Jackson. So this is all about James Baldwin. So the logline for this is writer James Baldwin tells the story of race in modern America with his unfinished novel, Remember This House. This is rated 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. So for me, I remember the first time I watched this was in a small independent theater in Rhode Island where I was living and working at the time. I was very moved by this. This was really, really good. And I think even if you're not a documentary person, this is one of those films that's very engaging. And yeah, it just covers a lot of really important topics. So that's I'm Not Your Negro. And then another film I saw in the same movie theater was Moonlight. So Moonlight came out in 2016. You might remember there was a whole big snafu at the Oscars about did La La Land win or did Moonlight win, and it was Moonlight, blah, blah. So yeah, Moonlight is rated R. It's 1 hour and 51 minutes long. It is straight drama. It sounded a little funnier than I intended, but it's a drama film. It's directed by Barry Jenkins. It's starring Mahershala Ali, Naomi Harris, Trevante Rhodes, and Janelle Monáe is also in there for a couple minutes, like Timothée Chalamet was in Lady Bird for a couple minutes. So the summary of this is a young African-American man grapples with his identity and sexuality while experiencing the everyday struggles of childhood, adolescence, and burgeoning adulthood. It received a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. This film is, like I said, this whole list, I'm going in order of emotional intensity from like least intense to most intense. I Am Not Your Negro is pretty serious. It deals with a lot of, like real life, like civil rights struggles. So I don't want to diminish that, but Moonlight is like a punch to the gut and face at the same time. And I mean that in the best way possible. It's extremely, I guess, visceral. I watched this film probably 3 years ago in the cinema, and I can still recall certain scenes, certain shots 3 years later with like very crisp clarity. So this is a movie that it really stays with you. It's one of those films that you finish watching it, you walk outside, and you need to like take like 20 deep breaths because it's just so impactful. amazing, amazing cinematography, amazing lighting, amazing acting, just everything about Moonlight is just amazing. And I think I'm gonna do a future video about some non-English language films on Kanopy. One of them is The 400 Blows. And The 400 Blows, I feel like, I'm not 100% sure, but I was a film major at one point in my life. I feel like the end of Moonlight is harkening back to the ending scene of The 400 Blows, which is a very like, I don't know about grim, but it's a very like bittersweet French film that came out in like the 60s or something. And they both The 400 Blows and Moonlight kind of end to me in a similar way. Yeah, so Moonlight is amazing, but it's just one of those films that you probably, like, at least for me, I haven't seen it in 3 years because it's like, it was so much. I mean, I'm probably ready to see it again, but like, I could only watch that kind of film every 3 or 4 years. I couldn't, like, I couldn't watch it in the same year. It's too much for the brain. But I highly recommend Moonlight. All right, and my last film on the list is Melancholia, which came out in 2011. It's rated R. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes long. It is a sci-fi drama directed by Lars von Trier. It stars Kirsten Dunst, Charlotte Gainsbourg, and Kiefer Sutherland. So, Melancholia, the reason why I put this last on my list is because it's, depending on your personality, it might not be the kind of film you want to watch right now during a pandemic where it feels like the world's gonna end, but it is a good film, so I don't wanna completely ignore it. So the logline for this is: two sisters find their already strained relationship challenged as a mysterious new planet threatens to collide with Earth, and it is 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, so what to say about Melancholia? The main theme is that the world is ending. And I guess the way I would, so similar to Moonlight, Melancholia is beautiful. It is beautifully shot. The cinematography is like off the charts amazing. That's like the first thing you get the moment you watch this film, because it just starts off with this like astounding slow motion shot of Kirsten Dunst like running through, I think, like a bog or something in slow. It's just amazing. And I gotta pause for sound. So where was I? I think I was saying there was it a couple weeks ago now? There was a story about an asteroid that came very close to hitting the Earth, but didn't hit the Earth, and it did remind me of this film. So yeah, this one also kind of, just because of the sheer power of the images and the cinematography, it's one that I remember quite well. If you don't know about Lars von Trier, the man, how do I put this? The man has depression, and it shows in all of his films. The thing about Lars von Trier is he's also deathly afraid of flying, so all the films he shoots are in his home country of Denmark. So this film was shot in Denmark. He flew out all these big name actors out to Denmark to shoot this thing. And yeah, Melancholia, it definitely, if you didn't know Lars von Trier before, and you didn't know about his depression before, you'll definitely know about it after you watch the film, because it's very obvious that someone with extreme depression wrote and created and shot this film. But again, it's an amazing film. And I guess kind of the thesis statement of this film is that people who have gone through depression, experienced depression, are like possibly the best equipped to deal with what feels like the end of the world, or in this case of the movie, the actual end of the world. I myself don't or was never diagnosed with depression, but it's knowing people who do have depression, do deal with depression, and in some ways and shapes and forms having dealt with, you know, I think small amounts of depression and grief throughout my life. I would say, yeah, this film really hits that on the head, really gets there. So Melancholia, if you have the, I guess, the mental fortitude to watch a film about the end of the world right now that is extremely depressing, but very, very good. This is by far the most serious and emotionally intense on the list, I think, at least for right now, for this time of COVID-19 and pandemics. So there you have it. Those are my 5 films. So thanks for watching. Again, you can always email me at maggieung@wlsmail.org. That's maggiealong@wlsmail.org. You can also leave me a voicemail at 914-502-9446, extension 404. So if you want to suggest any movies or books or whatever, any types of media you would like me to talk about or mention in the video, let me know. And let me know what you thought of these 5 movies if you choose to watch them. Thanks again. Thanks for watching.